Messy on Purpose, and today we have the guys behind Vegas Traffic. You guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, tell everybody a little bit about you?
Well, first of all, I'll jump in. We're two of the three total that are driving the force of getting Vegas Traffic, the feature film,
Dang it,
out.
Joey.
Joey couldn't make it today, at least. Hopefully he'll show up soon. Johnny here and myself, Trenton Briscoe. Yeah, that's who we are. Johnny, introduce yourself. Johnny Monauer. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but is there more to you, though? I mean,
Well,
what
we
did
were
you do for
told
the
that he
film?
was a talker.
Yeah.
What did you do for the film?
Well, I'm trying to be messy on purpose here. I don't want to be too serious and too perfect for this show. So, again, my name is Trenton Briscoe. How you doing? I'm kidding. All right, so I was a producer on the film, but not only that, I was the first AD, assistant director. I even did sound. I did everything. That's what happens when you do an independent film and you have no money. And it's feature length, and we shot it for 8 months. I'm free. That's me. Go ahead, buddy. Who are you?
How do I follow that? So, John Molinaro, I'm one of the lead actors in the film, and then I helped produce towards the tail end of the filming and into post-production.
I am so intrigued by this. I didn't really research anything because she told me about it, and it's something that I feel very strongly about.
She
so
usually researches
I
everything.
do on everything, but I wanted to
Not
hear
these
you
guys.
guys'. Yeah, I wanted to hear
She
your
was like,
perspective, and you guys tell us about what gave you the idea to do it, how it started, all of that.
Okay.
I'm going to start? Cause
Yeah.
All right, so how it all came about was, Joey and myself. Joey's. We worked together. We made some other films, and we went to the movie Sound of Freedom separately.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking out of there, and I was very angry. I have a daughter, and I knew that something's got to happen. We got to do something. And what can we do? We're good at making films, so let's just do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that's what I needed to have, needed to be done. And it just so happens, Joey walked out of Sound of Freedom feeling the same way, and we didn't even get to talk yet. And Joey went to writing. Normally, we've been writing a lot together, and he went and got it done so quick and brought it to me, and that's when I was like, okay, let's do this. Yeah. So we jumped on the process, and then we reached out and found this guy for the lead role. He's fantastic in it. If you don't, please come see. If you don't see it eventually, I'm going to kiss your little booty right now.
Aww.
This dude is really a driving force for this film. If it wasn't for him, I don't think it would carry as well as it does. Mm-hmm. The message alone carries it, but he has a little touch to it, and it kind of drives you to, sucks you in a sense. Mm-hmm. So proud to say that we got him on board. How about you, sir?
Wow, that was great.
How you going to follow that?
I don't know. Well, before we get too far, we introduce ourselves. But so Joey Sharafi, who's not here right now, but he's the writer-director.
Okay.
So he really was the helm of getting this whole thing kicked off.
Yeah.
He's also the editor. I mean,
Okay.
like he's mentioned, when you have independent films, everybody has to wear multiple hats. Yeah. And we all kind of did that, but Joey for sure is the creator of this.
Okay.
Yeah. We wouldn't
Thank
be
you,
done.
Joey.
Wouldn't be done without Joey, but it also takes a team for all of us to come together, of course. But yeah, Joey really put a lot of effort into this, so it's too bad he can't be here. Maybe.
We'll meet him when we go to the premiere.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
maybe we'll do another one with Joey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you give a synopsis of what it is? Is it documentary style? You said it's a full length feature.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a fictional film.
Mm-hmm.
What we've learned over the years of life is that people sometimes I call it a bait and twist, bait and switch, where you want to give them an action-packed film, a film with some humor, and even a serious subject, right? And we're even throwing a little bit of a God message in there, and we're tying them all in. It's like Lethal Weapon meets Sound of Freedom meets, Joey likes to say, what movie is it? Jackie Chan movies? Because there's
Hour?
Yeah, like Rush Hour. And because there's a lot of fighting in it, and it keeps you on your toes. You don't expect what you're going to see.
Okay.
You're thinking it's a child trafficking film, and it might even pull you out of what you were thinking for a moment, but it always brings you right back.
Yeah.
Because the message keeps coming back to you, and it keeps making you realize, like, oh yes. You might even go, wait, what? What is happening right now? And then you're like, okay, I'm back. And at the end, it leaves you, socks you hard.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wow, I can't believe. And it went for 2 hours and 5 minutes. A lot of films, you're like, this is taking forever. No, we keep it going. We keep it going. And that's the cool part.
So it's 2 hours long?
2 hours and 5 minutes long.
Don't forget the 5 minutes.
Hey, that 5 minutes can mean everything.
They can.
That's a long movie to keep people engaged the entire time. So there's a lot that goes into that.
Well, the pacing works, right?
Yeah.
So that's the key. Is if it's got poor pacing, you realize how much time you're spending watching this, right? And the slow moments, and even the slow moments that are there where it's not full of action, it really has heart, right? So the story really carries a lot of it. So when you have those moments where there's dialogue and not so much, pew pew type stuff going on, you're interested in what's happening, and so it keeps that pacing. Before you know it, you're like, oh wow, I'm really following these characters, and then before you know it, you're like, oh wow, there's some action going on, you know. So they did a really good job of keeping this moving, very entertaining.
Now there's a strong message behind this. So what are you trying to get out to people with this?
Well, I also part of it is, and this kind of came organically. It wasn't something we planned. We planned on having a screening, and then I said, hey, after the screening, let's just have the actors come up and talk. Then that turned into a Q&A, a panel talking about child trafficking. Then we started bringing people onto the panel, and they were teaching the people in the audience about what to look for, all that. So now we're like, let's keep this going. Let's turn it up a notch. We have the lieutenant governor show up to the last one. We had Agape, which will be at the next one. She helps do child trafficking and human trafficking.
Nonprofit.
Yeah, a nonprofit. Okay. But she was teaching the audience some signs and things. And then we just started realizing, like, this is bigger than that. Let's take it to other cities. It's unheard of, an independent film with no-name actors. No offense, John.
Not yet. Okay, not yet.
And no-name everybody, low budget, are going to be showing a third screening. We've had sponsors. We want more sponsors. And we want to go to other cities. Next, we want to be in Atlanta and LA, just because those are two capitals for entertainment. But we want to go to other cities, St. George, anything close that we can get to, right? And during that time, we could do this panel. We can get a local law enforcement agent to teach the audience what happens in their city. We can get a local or semi-local charity to be in the panel to, maybe we'll raise funds for that charity. We also decided, how are we going to do this? Like, what if we don't keep getting these sponsors for the charity? So we started Stop the Traffic Foundation ourselves. It's almost complete. We'll have a 501c3 here shortly. And the idea is we'll raise funds through Stop the Traffic, and now those funds can help put us in, Austin, Texas. And now it'll help pay for the theater, or the sponsors help as well. We'll still have sponsors. And now we can show it there and do our panel there, and boom, there it is. The issue that might come from that is if we get distribution for the film, which we do have multiple distributions reaching out to us already, we may not be allowed to do that. I'm going to try to fight to tell them to let me, because it's for charity. But if they don't, then we could just say to the world, hey, if you have a child trafficking film that you feel, or you want to make one, send it to us. And if it's good enough, we could start doing this still, the screenings, and have the education. So it turned into Vegas Traffic. The film has now become a movement for child trafficking, and it's going to carry on past Vegas Traffic.
But that's what I was going to ask you. That question is, like, is there plans for it to be beyond just Las Vegas? Like, would you be interested in doing, because we talked about LA. I'm not really sure, because like I said, I didn't do the research on what the hubs are in the U.S. for the most child trafficking, but like those major cities especially.
Yeah, Atlanta's in the top 5. Houston, Texas is number 1. We're number 2. I don't quite know the other ones, but I do know the top 5. Atlanta is there. That's why. And LA, I think LA is in the top 5.
Major city close to the border is probably big too, right?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, if you think about it, but really it's where the action is. It's where
I feel
the
like
most
Phoenix
stuff happens.
Phoenix is pretty big with like.
I don't think Phoenix is in the top 5. But
well, if I can expand on this just a little bit, is if you look at how they're ranked, do you know how they get those rankings? Like, how would you rank somebody as far as child trafficking?
I don't know. That's my question.
Well,
Is
it would be
'cause you don't even
cases,
know,
right?
right?
It'd be reported cases
Yeah.
or when they make busts.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Just because that's what's happening in these cities that are ranked
Mhm.
doesn't mean it's not happening in all the other cities
Yeah.
that aren't ranked.
Yeah, and
You follow
how
what I'm
many
saying?
unreported cases are
Okay.
there?
Okay.
Yeah.
So that being said, this is we're covering nationwide at this point in
Mhm.
time, but by bringing awareness where we've got an entertaining film,
Mhm.
we've got local law enforcement talking about what to look for and what's been
Yeah.
happening out there. We have nonprofits that talk about, they might offer assistance to some of these kids or adults that have been trafficked.
Yeah.
What do they do after they've been rescued?
Mhm.
There's a lot that goes into finding them a home, psychological aspect of it, right? There's a lot of recovery
Mhm.
that has to happen, and a lot of these nonprofits are what handle that.
Yeah.
So when we talk about going to other cities,
Mhm.
it's not just necessarily focusing on the cities that are ranked.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, well, let's get the big cities, and hopefully this information will disperse from there on. You know what I mean? And more people start becoming aware. That's one of those situations where we as a country have a lot of things that we should pay attention to and fix, right?
Mhm.
This is just one of them.
Yeah.
But the majority of people walk around with their heads in their phones, going about their business, their day, until it hits home.
Mhm.
Once something hits home like that, all of a sudden they're paying attention,
Yeah.
right? And nobody wants that to happen. So it's trying to be a little proactive to say, hey, listen, I know you got your life, but pay attention to this stuff. Next time you're at the gas station and you see a kid in the backseat of the car and things just don't feel right,
Mhm.
trust your instinct and just pay attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
And if you start just thinking that way, where does this feel right to me or not? Maybe 9 times out of 10, it's nothing.
Mhm.
That 1 time out of 10, you might have saved a kid's life by just being aware of what's happening.
And just being aware in general, like of your surroundings. It's not even just kids that get trafficked, right?
Mhm.
They'll just
they
pick a
grab
girl
adult
out of the
women,
parking
yeah.
lot that's walking because she's on her phone and not paying
Yeah, for
attention.
For sure.
So there's a lot of awareness in just what you're doing in general and the things around you.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you saw Sounds of Freedom.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I,
Yeah.
I saw that in the theater as well. Did you see it?
I didn't see it in the theater, but yeah, I've seen it.
So that's what motivated, Trenton and Joy initially
Yeah.
to start
Yeah.
talking about this. But I had already seen it.
Mm-hmm.
And he had mentioned some of the different variables that are in this film, and one of the things I wouldn't say it's faith based,
Mm-hmm.
but it
Ours?
definitely yes,
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it definitely has,
faith-based,
but it definitely has a faith element in
yeah,
it.
and that's the goal,
Yeah.
is to have all these different elements brought together.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at it as from almost like a spiritual sense, in that if you're a good person, you're trying to do the right thing. Okay, so whatever path you follow,
Yeah.
that's your business. You know what I mean? But at the end of it all, we're all just trying to be good quality human beings, right? So there is that in there. It's not preachy at all, but there are elements that, that's where it was inspired.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, when I watched Sound of Freedom, like I felt sick inside,
Yeah.
like watching that.
Yeah.
It really does, like it hits home without hitting home. You know what I mean?
Stirs you
I don't-
inside for sure.
It's the reality of
Yeah.
like the world that we live in that we don't even see on a daily basis.
Our society, filmmaking, films that come out, we're kind of made to believe what's put out there. The more it's out there, the more we know happens, right? So then the more we watch aliens on films, the more people might think there's aliens, right? Or that it's more acceptable that there's aliens. Well, when dogs die on films, it's the hardest thing for society to handle, right?
I won't watch it. I
Right.
won't watch a movie of it,
Right.
guys.
Well, we love our dogs, right?
Mhm.
So we need to also know that this happens to our children, because
Yes,
it-
I agree.
we need you to know that. We need you to be like, oh my God, like I can't watch any more of that part, because if the kids don't have you. We don't do that. We don't. We keep it very, what's the wording?
There's implied situations.
It's
So
very
so
vague.
yeah,
Yes.
well, I mean, you definitely can have some uncomfortable moments.
Yeah.
But it's more of a sense and a feeling than necessarily a visual. We'll take you down a path visually just enough to where your own imagination or whatever can take it from there.
And I think you have to make people uncomfortable to get them to wake
Yeah,
up to
absolutely.
stuff too. Like like you were saying, we walk around with our heads in our phones. We go about our daily life where it's like you're dealing with your family, your job. You don't really pay attention to what's going on behind the scenes, and then you see something like that movie, and it's like, my gosh, if you didn't feel uncomfortable, it wouldn't stir you up. So you have to have those uncomfortable moments to create a reaction inside you where you do want to make a change, and you're like, I don't want to just sit around and be complacent to this. Like, if I don't know about it, ignorance is bliss. But if I'm aware this is happening, what can I do to be a solution for it?
Well, unfortunately, human trafficking is $1 billion business, and somebody up there is controlling that. And filmmaking, I worry because this is just going to get me in trouble. And
Let me move on. I was only in the film.
You know that from my understanding, knocking on wood or whatever, but the Pentagon had money allotted to making films. Why is that? So they can control the narrative of our mindsets.
Yeah.
And in some ways, I can see that being a good thing, to keep people from going crazy. But also at the same time, it's a scary thought that you're controlling what we think and feel.
Desensitizing us to certain things.
Like when things happen in our world, and all of a sudden there's a film about it really quickly. That to me says something. That says to me, did that really happen the way that it said it did? And now there's a film about it already, and it just makes me think that you're just trying to control our thoughts. So if you think about movies in general, like what movies have human trafficking in them and took it to that level is, like Taken. And Taken was an awesome movie that really, it had some martial arts and stuff in it, but it was a girl taken in human trafficking. They sold her at an auction. That part of it was like, holy crap, And I think more people need to know that wasn't just, movies are movies, right? It's entertainment. When you watch our movie, it is for entertainment. But the message is still serious, and it's still a true fact. And just because we throw some entertainment into it to make it a little more appealing,
sensationalized.
Doesn't mean that at the end of the day kids are taken. So let's like some people are like, well, this movie wasn't, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't like this doesn't happen because we do a little extra to it, but it could. We don't know. Overall, I it's a good thing to take in and know it's there, and it's turned me up a notch with my daughter. Now my daughter, I don't let her go out of my sight.
She's like, man.
And they say like they like little blonde girls. My daughter's blonde, and I'm like, watching like a hawk
all the time.
They like all, but I'm just
with Taken, I remember watching that, and I feel like even with that, it was like, I'll speak for myself. I feel like we just kind of jumped over the trafficking part, and it was all about Liam Neeson and this amazing dad, and he's going to rescue his daughter. And I don't think we really even like focused on the trafficking part.
Oh, I did.
I was like,
I think that was planned for a reason, because if you did focus on the trafficking part, a lot of people would, like her saying that, well, I can't watch the dog. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I know people that won't come watch our film because they've been in that area of life,
situation.
And it didn't hit me until they told me they can't watch it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I also had a charity that has joined us, and at first the charity said that they didn't want to join us. I said, well, why not? And she said, because our clientele or women that are in their program wouldn't want to watch that. And I go, are we making this for them? Or are we making this for the people to bring them aware so they don't become them?
Yeah.
And maybe even fund you because of what you're doing. And all of a sudden she just was like, oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah.
And she joined us, So sometimes the perspective is just, she meant well. She saw it in a way, but I had to open up that tunnel and be like, think about it this way.
Yeah.
I like the bait and switch idea. I think that's in general in life. I remember I wanted to make a magazine one day for men, and I went with the Playboy-esque style, but all the writers in it were women, and they were teaching the men how to be a better man. And I think and people gave me crap for it. Well, you have a girl on the cover. I'm like, I'm bringing them in and teaching them the right way, but you're ruining it for me, So I think it's a great way to bring everybody in for this one.
Can I ask you really quickly, because you're one of the lead actors, so I've been hearing about the action and stuff like that. Were you trained in like fighting, martial arts? Like what is What is it that you're doing in the movie that we should look out for?
Stand in.
Yeah.
I did stunts for him.
Stunt double. No.
Yeah, I shaved my head bald. I was a stunt double.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm like
you guys
5
look
feet
so
taller
much
than him.
alike. Yeah.
I mean, just growing up, I was always enthusiastic about martial arts and films and whatnot. So, and I've done plenty of stunt classes. I've trained with Bruce Willis's stunt double before. I've trained with one of the lightsaber choreographers from Star Wars. So I've been along that path. But until this movie, it wasn't that extensive of scenes. But I was very fortunate because my co-star that I work with, Kevin Sanders. I was going to say his character name, Andrew Martinez. He's very much into his martial arts. He's been to the Jackie Chan School of Stunts in China.
And you don't just go there; you get invited.
Yeah. No. So, and he's very passionate about it. Right now he's playing a ninja in Legoland or something like that. But he does all those wild stuff. So I was very fortunate to be able to play off of him. Where he did most of the martial arts moves, and fortunately for me, my character is more of a barroom brawler type. You know what I mean? So a lot of that I didn't have to try and match.
Yeah.
There was quite a bit of action with that. A lot of the stuff was choreographed on the spot. There was quite a bit. There was quite a bit because sometimes, let's not do.
You gotta
then we'd
improvise.
edit it, well, then it's choreographed on the spot. If you're not doing what was already practiced,
Every once in a while.
yeah. So no, that was great. And then with Joey running the main camera and then editing it the proper way, so it comes out very very entertaining and believable. I think.
Yeah.
Are you guys from LA?
I was born and raised here.
Born and raised here.
Yeah.
Okay, I just said being in the film background, that's why I'm asking.
So I grew up in California. I grew up in Northern California, and I moved to LA when I was 22, and I lived there for about 7 years.
Did you move there for film?
Yeah, that's all I cared about in life since I was 12.
Is that all you guys do, or is there anything else what else do you guys do besides film and?
Well, I would say first full-time dad. That's my main
Me too.
work job. Everything goes into that.
Okay. But what makes money?
That takes away the money.
That's what actually makes us work 3 jobs.
Yes, exactly.
I've been in the casino industry for quite some time.
Okay.
Because I grew up here and that was the kind of thing to do.
Yeah.
It's the main source of income, I think. Here.
Yeah, so I was actually in the casinos for many, many years, and then on the sales side of things now.
Okay.
So.
I was a teacher for the last 5 years, and then I was great because my daughter could go to my school.
Cool.
And then I quit, and I'm now a foster parent recruiter for a national agency. So if you know anybody that wants to be a foster parent, just give me a call.
Felicia?
No.
Um,
My dog drives me nuts.
But I consider myself an entrepreneur. I'm always trying to do different things. I have other films that I'm working towards right now. I'm gonna talk about it for the first time out loud.
Right.
I am in the process of starting a new company called Epic. It's Early Prevention in Communities. The focus will be an anti-bully program, but we will also have suicide awareness program. We'll also have a child trafficking / don't trust strangers, right?
Stranger danger.
Stranger danger. The idea is I have these group of characters that I was trying to make a movie with years ago. I made them, brought them to life, and I brought them to charity events. And now I'm going to bring them to life and bring them to schools. And we're going to put a program in, like a DARE program for the whole year. And we're going to implement, anti-bullying for the week. And then the characters come at the end for an assembly, put on a show. It's
So
just
like
something-
Teletubbies.
Yeah,
I was thinking it's
they
like
look like
Dare.
They look like it's like Dare. So
Yeah.
they are a cross between the Power Rangers and the Ninja Turtles. They have the attitude of the Ninja Turtles. They have the colors of the Power Rangers, but they're also ripped and shredded because I got these cool costumes for them. So I'm doing that, and that's like my baby. And eventually it's going to lead to marketing all their toys and a TV show ongoing on YouTube. We already have talks with somebody in that. We might get going on that, and then a movie eventually, which is where it all started. I had a movie idea, and I was like, this is like Star Wars or Marvel Comics. I'm never going to be able to do this movie until I have Boo Boo Bucks. So what do? You don't just quit your dreams.
Yeah.
You have to find a stepping stool to that dream, and that's what I've been doing in the last 10 years. I should have done this a little sooner, but it is what it is. And I've worked in schools. I've worked in mental health.
Yeah.
I've worked in, filmmaking. I used to be Spider-Man for Marvel Comics. I used to do a DARE program all over the United States.
Mm-hmm.
So I took everything I've done and I put it into my own company.
Yeah.
So here we are.
And it sounds like, just from the things you've said, that you have a real heart for children, because you talking about not only this movie, but then you were a teacher. Now you're doing the fostering stuff. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think gave you that kind of heart for children?
Honestly, I remember, gosh, I think I was 15 or something, and I came up with this idea. I worked at a Kids Castle Fun Center for my first job, and this man, I swear he was like an angel or something. He was asking me, he was a rich guy. He was like, "What do you want to be in life?" I'm like, I was 16. I was all, I want to open up a land for foster kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I really did. I came up with this whole scheme. I won't get into it now. And he was like, "Wow, why do you want to do that?"
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly have no clue. I never knew a foster kid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it's my past life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. But it's always been a love that I've had. And every job that I've had, I've worked with kids.
Yeah.
Or I was making films.
Mm-hmm.
Or I was entertaining, which to me, when I'm entertaining, a lot of times I'm entertaining kids.
Mm-hmm.
Or I even look at it as adults. You guys are kids to me.
Mm-hmm.
All adults are kids. We were all kids once, so you're gonna relate.
The child's still inside
Yes,
there,
it
no matter
absolutely
how
is.
old the body gets. The
Absolutely
child's
is.
still
I feel
inside,
12 all the time.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Look.
talking about. He knows what I'm talking about. He's just trying to play like an adult right now.
No, I'm just biting my lip.
He's
This is
told
where
us,
this is where you break the fourth wall.
he's told us
Yeah.
about his dream. What's your dream?
My dream?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Because you work at a casino.
He's
like,
like, where do I
sales.
begin?
Let's be real. That's
I
no
mean,
one's dream
that's
job.
where I pay the bills.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're really reaching out there, obviously, I'm pursuing acting.
Mhm.
So I've worked behind the scenes. I've written some of my own stuff as well. But my heart lies in bringing these characters to life. That really gets me going.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it'd be great to think if something like this got out there enough to where somebody spotted it and said, there's a bearded bald guy I'd like to see in my film. So that would be the dream, obviously. And I guess a lot of it comes from just wanting to entertain. Because growing up here, my dad used to run the showroom at Caesar's Palace for many, many years. So when I was young, I used to go backstage and I met all these celebrities and I used to watch these shows. They had the live orchestra and they really know how to put on a show. And I'd see how the audience would respond to this. And early on, I'm like, okay, I get what's happening now, And then I remember, not to date myself, but I remember being in the theater watching the first Rocky when it came out. And the energy in that theater was unmatched. I mean, if nobody's experienced that, it doesn't happen nowadays usually. Like, it was just crazy. The audience came to life.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to be able to do that. So whether I play a hero that you learn to love, a villain that you love to hate, or if I can make you cry, I did my job, and so
You
that's
basically thrive off the entertainment
yes,
of
and it's
others.
just juicy. I look for those juicy parts that I can really, like I said, love, hate, doesn't matter to me. If I convince you to feel that way about me, then I did what I was.
So are you excited about Hollywood coming here, basically? Sorry,
The
not to,
studios
not to
and
talk
stuff?
over you.
No.
Like, are you excited, like Mark Wahlberg opening something? I don't know. I don't really know. I hear
The
little
Sony
things.
Studios and the Warner Brothers
Yeah.
Studios are the two major ones that have been in talks. I mean, I'm not in those closed door meetings, so I'm not sure really what their what their goal is going to be here. If they're actually going to move filming major features here, or if it's going to be a TV division, how they're really going to dice it up. I am excited about that element coming here, though, because we've always been casinos, which is fine. That's our industry, right? But we have a lot to offer here, not just in locations and whatnot, and hopefully tax incentives. I'm breaking the fourth wall, tax incentive. But the talent here, right? So not everybody has the availability or flexibility to go to LA for auditions, or whether you're a camera guy and to get away and go do that. So the more opportunities that come here, the more local talent can thrive as well.
So a follow-up question. Sorry. And then I promise you can have yours.
I'm just over here in the corner,
so,
guys.
So, being like this drive and this dream to be a big actor and entertain,
what kept you in Vegas versus going to LA? That's only 4 hours away.
Life.
Your daughter.
That's part of it.
Mhm.
I have more than one daughter,
Okay.
and there's one that's a little bit older.
Mhm.
And so it was really my job was rooted here. I got advancements and whatnot, so it wasn't something I was gonna say this job stinks, I'm leaving it.
Yeah.
I was doing well,
Mhm.
and so that's really what's kept me here.
And the cost of living is a lot lower here
For
too.
sure.
So that with a kid, and LA is such a big city, so I can see that.
Now relocating's always come up where if the opportunity warranted it,
Right.
then that would be something I'd have to work out family wise and whatever, you know what I mean? But if there was an opportunity that was in Atlanta or in California, then
Yeah.
obviously that's, and I'd have a support system that would say, go, do it.
Mhm. Okay, so my question is to circle it back around to the films. How did they find you, or you found them to play this role?
How did you find me?
Yeah.
I was on the set of Ballers.
Mhm.
Did we? No.
I was on Ballers with you,
Yeah,
but we didn't meet there.
We met before that. We met somehow prior, and I
was
had.
very
Oh, I
brought him on
remember. Wait, no,
memorable.
we can't talk. No,
Yeah.
no, just
Oh,
kidding.
now you
No,
can't
just
talk.
kidding, just kidding.
Did you see those eyeballs?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
It's like we met
It's like-
randomly on the
I
street.
was
Now I remember.
I was at the Green
Strip
Door.
club?
No, that's
Sorry.
not where I was going
Sorry.
with that. That's not where I was going with
Sorry.
that.
No, we met.
Felicia and you are not allowed to talk anymore. Me and him were having a conversation.
I think it was.
I'm
at
sorry.
church.
Yeah,
We're
it
called
was a
messy on
church
purpose. I
camp.
can't help myself. When
And I'm just feeding off the energy.
At Bible study, you guys met each other.
yeah, we met at Bible study.
We had a debate
And,
on.
No, we met somehow in an acting moment, and I brought him into a film that I was trying to do that did not go well. It was early on in my life here in Vegas, and I didn't have a good team, and I had the wrong team for that moment. I had some great things, but it just didn't happen. I won't get into details. So we met there. I always had a connection with Johnny. He may not know this, but I've always felt like like this guy and I have something, but we just never really did a lot together. And then I saw him on Ballers, and then after that, I think we talked about bringing him on a couple of our projects. I even reached out for something. I forget what it was. And then when we were doing this, we did have somebody that we were talking to, and we thought we were going to use him. And when he couldn't do some of the stuff we needed, we were just like, dude, what about Johnny?
Mhm.
And at the time, Johnny was quiet here in Vegas. I didn't know that he was tapping into his LA market, and he wasn't really doing the Vegas market stuff. So I thought he was retired. Like in my mind, I was like, we can bring
He's
him out of
only
retirement.
12. Why would he
Yeah,
be
exactly.
retired?
That's a
what I
nice way
was
to say he
thinking.
quit. Right? He got discouraged and he quit his dreams. is
I
what-
was like,
is what he's
hey,
saying, right?
Let's get Johnny out of retirement. I told Joey that, and Joey's like, "You think he'll come? You think he'll do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude, he'll do it." And sure enough, he loved the script and he was in. I was like, "Dude, he did it. This is great."
Can I say how amazing I think that is I see that kind of stuff. I feel like things happen at certain times in your life that set up like this foundation of something that's supposed to come together later,
Yeah,
because
for sure.
it sounds like you were the perfect person to play that part, and you guys had like missed opportunities and stuff before that for it to come together for that.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
Fate.
say this. I'm gonna say this.
Destiny.
Johnny is now one of my bestest friends I've ever had. So, and I'm not just
Aw.
saying that. I'm just being serious, and I believe that as well.
That was
Really
actually
do.
the most serious you've been this entire
Yeah.
time.
I can take it there. Just so you know.
He's also an actor too, so
I know. I
Yeah.
was like,
when
wait.
we leave here, I'm gonna kick him. I'm gonna get away from me, dog.
Now he's trying to fool us.
I know.
We get Faith though,
Hey,
because
look,
that's how we became friends.
Seriously.
I love
yeah.
humor. I love humor, and I like to break up the thing. And sometimes when it's too serious, I will break it up and be funny. But overall, I just like to have a good time as well.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes the world go round. If we're all just in our butts. I mean, wait, I can't say it that way. But you know what I mean? You get me.
Oh yeah. I bring
you two
humor
got
into
each
the
other.
worst situations
Listen.
because that's just
Yeah,
how I deal
yeah.
with things.
You know what, guys? Let's laugh.
But
Yeah.
she has her emotions so in check, and I'll be sitting here on the couch, we'll be doing a podcast, and I'm crying, and Felicia's sitting there straight faced or making a joke, and so I think that's what makes us great
Yeah.
friends.
You know,
is
I
we even
you know,
each other
opposites
out.
attract. You know, you're able to even each other out.
Yep.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I live off of comedy, so
But if I'm around another person that's a hardcore comedy, I might kind of hold back a little
Mhm.
bit.
Yep.
'Cause
No,
I
I
don't
need- I
feel
need to
like
keep
you
the
two have been
balance.
holding back at all.
I don't know
so-
how to hold back. So
I actually
Yes.
wanted to tell you guys the day that Felicia messaged me about you guys coming on, I had a client and we were talking about it, and she's going to be a guest in a couple of weeks where she was a victim of sex trafficking here in
wow.
Las Vegas. So she was very interested to
Oh,
hear
wow.
about you guys' film. So
unless you want to
Message.
touch base on.
yeah.
Well, we can do the obligatory hand signal. Just
Yeah,
if
go
we
ahead.
get an opportunity to talk about it. You guys familiar with the hand signal that they use?
Oh,
for...
the behind the back, right? Or
well,
the,
it's wherever.
It's,
Okay.
it's however they do it. They have to just show it to you and do it.
okay.
Yeah, so there's a hand signal that even young kids can learn, and it's basically signaling that they're in distress or they're being held against their will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they can't always yell or scream if somebody's
Yeah.
have them. So what they do is they bring their thumb in
Mm-hmm.
and they clasp it with the rest of their fingers,
Mm-hmm.
and that's basically I'm being held against my will.
Okay.
And so I mean, if you're passing by and there's a kid in the back seat and they're doing this
Yeah.
or they do it behind their
But
back or whatever,
They have to show the process of it.
Okay.
just
So
I'm being held.
Somebody
Yeah.
might be doing this for fun. They're
Or
gonna be
just that's how they hold their hand. Or
Yeah.
something
Yeah,
like
so
that.
they will show you, and when they see you, they'll.
Close it.
Okay.
That's the idea.
So the more kids that understand that,
Uh-huh.
and the more adults that can recognize that,
Mhm.
I mean, you never know. But it's education. It's something that's out there. It's something that's been used successfully.
Yeah, yeah.
People have actually
There
been
was-
safe from doing that.
There was a time where a car was on the freeway, and the kid in the back seat was doing it to all the cars driving by. And somebody knew what it was on the car, and they got behind him, called it in, got the kid.
Thank God, because I'd be
So-
like, "What's that kid doing?" Like, I wouldn't even
Yeah,
know.
sign language,
So,
she's-
yeah.
But you're like, rock on, man.
I know, I'm like-
Well, what's sad is someone probably drove by and said that. You know,
yeah,
Yeah.
like,
little
look
do
at
they
that
know.
kid.
Yeah, and
Oh.
there was a situation. I'm gonna get actually serious now.
Mm.
When I worked in mental health, I used to go to homes, and there was a group of kids that were in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I used to take one of the kids out and do one-on-one training with them.
Mhm.
And there was a girl in there. She's like 8, and something wasn't right.
Yeah.
I felt so like something was wrong.
Mhm.
Like, what do you do? How do you do this? I can just call the cops for nothing. No, there's nothing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we ended up finding out a week later they did get him, and it was the uncle. And whenever he babysat, he was abusing the kids. But I thought to myself, God, man, if we could have just taught all these kids at schools
Mhm.
this,
Yes.
that little kid could have looked at me and went,
Mhm.
and I would have went in there and
Mhm.
beat that dude, and took that child.
Mhm.
You know what I meant.
I'm with him. I'm not even
Yeah.
going to judge for that because I've seen situations like that as well, and unfortunately, we have a lot of fractures in our system where we're letting children down, even when there is like tangible proof that stuff is happening.
Yeah.
That's a whole other beast that has to be
You come from
tackled.
mental health, you've seen it. Yeah. So,
But the hand signal for sure. Like, I'm gonna make sure my kids know that.
yeah.
They may know it without me knowing it,
Sure.
but thank you for sharing that because I'm aware of it.
Well, it's like when I used to be a foster home.
Mhm.
That's how I got into where I'm at today. But when I was a foster home, that you have to do all these things in your house, right, to
Mhm.
have kids.
Yeah.
You have to have a escape plan, emergency escape plan, and you have to practice every month with your
Mhm.
kids. And every time I tell new foster homes that are coming in that you have to do this, they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "You know what, dude? It's pretty important if you think about it. Your kids need to know this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yep.
What if something happens to you in the scenario? They'll know what to do. So it's the same thing. Like
Mhm.
we need to be teaching all of our kids and ourselves
Mhm.
how to, just in case, like if the world ends, like something happens, not the world ends, but if something happens tomorrow,
Mhm.
what do you have?
What
I
do
have
you do?
water in my
Mhm.
house. I have a ton of water in my house. I never would have had water in my house until I fostered kids.
Mhm.
I make sure I have a bag that has all the stuff in it that I would need to grab and go.
Yeah.
Things that people don't think could ever happen. But let's just face it, not 9/11, but when COVID hit and we got shut down, things can happen.
Mhm.
So let's be more cautious. Why not?
Mhm.
It's better to have something that doesn't cost a whole lot, or to learn something that doesn't cost a whole lot to do, and be prepared. And the same thing goes for every realm of life, especially for child trafficking. That's huge. But
it's like fire drills when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like, how many times you do fire drills?
Yeah.
Even though how many times were there a fire?
Uh-huh.
Now they do fire drills and they do active shooter drills.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right?
Hard
And you're
lockdown,
hoping that stuff never happens, but if it does.
But you guys bringing that up, I didn't even think about it. But when I was younger, we would do that. My parents would do that with us. Like, hey, if anything ever happened and there was a fire or this happened, this is the way you would go out of the house. Like, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's something they had us do in school. Like, go home with your family and practice your emergency routes and stuff. And I haven't done that in forever.
Mhm.
Like,
I only did that in school. My family didn't do
yeah, I
any
was
of
going to
that.
say, I don't think I've
And there
ever
was
even
a-
done that with my kids.
There was 7
like,
children in the
yeah,
house.
like,
and
what
no
would you do
plan,
if there
no
was a
plan.
fire?
We would end up. Our society is so handheld. You know, like we don't realize how much. You know, we're spoiled brats. You know what I mean?
a little complacent
Yeah.
with some stuff. You
Yeah.
know, I used to have everybody's phone number memorized before we could put it in the phone.
Anymore.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I
now
mean?
I'm like,
now I'm like, what was that number
ooh.
again?
I had no idea.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Nobody would be getting a call from me in an emergency. I'd be like, oops.
I know my
911.
husband's number. I know
Oh,
my
good
husband's.
for you.
So I have
You've
one
got
number.
one.
I got one. I don't know what yours is.
And his birthday, and his birthday
I never
too?
had to dial it. His birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know his
Oh,
birthday.
okay, okay.
Yeah, his birthday is my password.
Let me
for
check my
everything.
phone.
You guys, because you got to hear what I had to do recently. So my daughter leaves for the summer,
Mhm.
but she leaves to another state that's not close by. And the first thing I thought was, what if something happened when my daughter's in another state? So I went and bought extra large metal gasoline cans because who knows what could happen. I mean, we could not be able to get gas.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have these cans. I'm going to make sure they're filled so that if something happens, I can take them and drive to this far
So
away
you can
land.
at least get to her.
At least
Yeah.
hopefully get to her. I got to get more gas cans, I think.
She
They only, I mean, I don't want to buy those giant
go to the
ones.
East Coast?
No. Try not to declare where.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I figured that.
I already said she's
I'm just
blonde.
like all the way across.
like, I've given too much
Yeah,
away.
It's in Maine. That's where she lives.
You're gonna need a lot
As
of
far
gas.
as you can go.
Yeah.
Basically Canada.
But, like those kinds of things that you don't think about, you have to think about. So,
I think COVID was a huge wake-up call for a lot of people where it was like, you have to be prepared for things that we're not prepared for, where if something gets shut down, do you have, your perishable foods? Do you have water? Do you have a filtration system? Like, all of these, because I grew up in the South. We grew up like Tennessee, Arkansas, where we'd be on farms. You didn't even have indoor plumbing in some places. So you were very prepared for anything that happened. You had your candles, you had stuff, if
Right.
electricity went out. And now it's like, God, I mean, we're all like, everything's digital, everything's through computers. And it's like, when I was growing up, I knew how to build a fire and do all these things. My kids would be SOL. If something happened, they'd be like, what do you mean I can't use my phone to look this up? So,
one thing I will say, though, is kids are kids, and they will adapt. They will.
Mhm.
But it's true. I mean, there are some that won't, and we just need to be more aware of what's happening.
agreed.
I'm not a parent, so I don't have to prepare any children. I have a dog that's useless, and she's useless as it is, let alone if there was a tragedy. She isn't going to save you if someone breaks in.
I feel like
she's
this
gonna
is
go
this is
hide.
a script.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No. So it's kind of like the apocalyptic movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody like her ends up getting the responsibility of like a couple
A
of
child,
kids
yes.
that have been separated.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
you've got to figure it out, and they're like,
I'm writing
You don't even
Felicia
know that?
as the guardian of my
Yeah.
children if
I
something
feel a
happens.
little bit of acting.
I was
can
going to
handle
go dark
this.
with it, but yeah.
He's like, I was going much darker than
No,
you.
I'm actually
She's
really
talking
good
about
with
her dog.
kids.
She's talking about her dog.
I just don't want any of my own.
I have enough for both of us, so we
Yeah,
share.
she's got plenty. When we first started hanging out, I didn't realize, like, she would talk about one kid. And then there'd be another one. I'm like, oh, okay. And then another one. And
I
then
have
another
4
one. I was like,
boys.
wait a minute. How many children do you have?
I have 4 boys and 1 girl.
Wow.
I
I'm
just
from
get back
Mississippi, y'all. We love having children,
Nice.
so those are.
I come from a big family, which is why I have none.
But
Yeah,
those are
we
the
had to
best-
do that the opposite.
I tell her that's the best part of my life. Like, that is my
Kids-
heritage, and
Well, I just had my daughter's 7, she's first kid, and it was a game changer. I've always loved kids. I'm Italian.
Yeah.
Italian. I love kids. I always wanted to have a family, but like I just needed the right people. And but when I had my daughter, oh my gosh,
It changes you.
I always tell people, man, you're missing out. Until you have a kid, you don't know it. You don't know it. You can say all you want. Until you have one, your mini me that you could train to be like you. Scary sometimes.
Yeah.
But no, it's definitely, But
I'm
it's
not
nice-
even worried about a mini me. I'm worried about a mini Justin, and I can't.
But my whole reasoning is, I think I thought I knew what love was until I had my kids. And when you have somebody that you would die in a second without a moment's
Yep.
hesitation, like
That's-
if it's me or them, I'm dying. They're staying
Yep.
alive. Like, I would like to think I feel that way about other people in my life. Felicia, I love
Not
you.
so much.
But I would definitely have a moment's hesitation. Like, am I gonna die for her to keep living? I'm sorry, but my kids
No questions
take me.
asked.
Yeah, take me.
I mean, I'll take a bullet for Johnny, but I'll make sure they
Is
shoot
it
me
like
right
in the
spot,
kneecap?
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly.
I'll take a kneecap bullet for Felicia. I don't need 2 knees. I can get by with 1, but I still want to be alive. But the kids, we love our kids, and that's why this is so important and so near and dear. And I'm so glad you guys connected and you were able to come on to discuss this.
Yeah.
We just dabble and hope for the best.
That's how we started,
Yeah.
right? Now, we're just
Yeah.
dabble, and then
Well, when you have a passion for something, the dabbling obviously grows and becomes something bigger. And then, like we were talking about with fate earlier, I think things happen at certain times with certain people in your life for a
Absolutely.
reason. So,
I know I came in your life at the right time.
but thank God for Felicia and thank God for you guys for coming on. I'm so excited. I love the t-shirt, Vegas Traffic. Everybody
Vegas
go
Traffic.
look it up. It's Vegas Traffic, the movie on Instagram, correct? Do you guys
Yeah.
want to give your
And-
social media, whatever social media?
And there's also VegasTrafficTheMovie.com.
Okay.
You can follow me at Trenton Briscoe on Instagram and TikTok. I think it's the same.
Mhm.
And then you, sir, you want to tell them where you can follow?
my Instagram's Johnny Octane. So you can,
That's a very. I feel like you're a WWE character. or
you know,
Let me tell you,
I,
bro,
I,
I
got-
something.
I did that a long time ago.
Did you?
It's a motorcycle thing.
Okay.
So, but it just stuck, and more people saw it. So I just never tried to change it.
I thought you did wrestling a long time ago.
I did too. I was like, that's awesome.
I didn't know that about you.
You didn't know that?
I was like, I dabbled too, but I didn't go that far. I didn't name
Superfly
myself.
Snuka.
Yeah. Let me tell you, brother. Johnny Octane. Trenton Briscoe.
Johnny
Oh,
Octane.
sorry.
And then what about? Do you have any other socials that you're sharing?
I mean, I'm on Facebook, but usually, I interact mostly on Instagram.
Instagram. And then what about Joey? Does anybody want?
Yeah, so Joey is, I think it's under Joseph Sharafi, and he also SharafiEntertainment.com.
How do you spell that?
Sharafi is Charafi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So shout out to Joey.
Joey, we miss you,
Well,
Did you say
we
that
broke
in
a
the Johnny
chair in the
Octane
process.
voice?
So.
Yes, brother.
That was the Johnny Octane
The Johnny
voice.
Octane,
did
that's
that,
a
brother.
thing now.
Hey, brother. Hey, we're going to do that now. Next time we get an interview,
Yeah.
I'm going to be talking to you like that.
Oh no, we started something. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. You guys make sure to check out Vegas Traffic, the movie.